I transferred the deed to my lawyer. My father stood there with his hand still extended, expecting me to give him the property documents he'd been demanding for 20 minutes. Instead, I slid a single business card across the table. Catherine Stone, attorney at law. My mother made a sound like she'd been slapped. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with me today. Let me know which city you are watching from in the comments. What you just witnessed was the culmination of 18 months of careful planning, documentation, and strategic silence. My parents thought they could force me to surrender a rental property worth $1.7 million to cover my sister's medical debt. They thought wrong. To understand how we got to that moment, I need to take you back to where this all started. My name is Jennifer Callahan. I was 38 years old when this happened, though my family still treated me like I was 20 and foolish. I worked as a commercial real estate broker in downtown Seattle, not residential, commercial. The kind where a single deal could bring in commissions between $80,000 and $300,000. I had been doing this for 14 years. I was good at it, very good. My younger sister Melissa had always been the favorite. That is not bitterness speaking. That is observable fact. When I graduated college, my parents gave me a card with $50 inside. When Melissa graduated 2 years later, they gave her a car. A brand new Honda Accord, $23,000. My father told me the difference was that Melissa had potential and deserved support as she started her career. I was already working. I had been working since I was 16. Melissa married Todd Brennan when she was 26. Todd worked in medical device sales. He made decent money, not great, but decent, around $90,000 a year. They bought a house in Bellevue with help from my parents. Another $70,000 for the down payment. When I bought my first condo 3 years earlier, I asked my father if he could loan me $15,000. He told me that real adults do not ask their parents for money. I bought the condo anyway, alone. The pattern had been there my entire life. Melissa got piano lessons. I got a library card. Melissa got braces. I got told my teeth built character. Melissa got family vacations. I got a weekend at my aunt's house while they went to Hawaii. By the time I was 30, I had stopped expecting fairness. I just focused on building my own life. But here is the thing nobody knew. While my family was dismissing me as the less successful daughter, I was quietly becoming the most financially secure person in the room. By 35, I owned 3 properties. My primary residence, a condo in Capitol Hill, a rental duplex in Fremont, and a commercial property in Sodu that I leased to a craft brewery. The commercial property alone generated $41,000 a year in rental income. My total real estate portfolio was worth approximately $3.2 million. I had built this while working full-time as a broker and managing my investments on nights and weekends. My parents had no idea. Melissa had no idea. I never corrected them when they made assumptions about my finances. When my mother would say things like, "Jennifer is doing fine for someone in her position," I would smile and change the subject. Let them think what they wanted. I was too busy building an empire. The first betrayal happened on March 9th, 2 years ago. Melissa called me on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in the middle of closing a deal on a 14,000 square foot warehouse conversion, $2.8 million sale. My commission would be $84,000. Melissa did not know this. She knew I sold buildings. She thought I struggled. She was crying. I could barely understand her. Todd had been in a car accident. Someone ran a red light and hit him on the driver's side. He was in ICU at Harborview, traumatic brain injury, shattered pelvis, collapsed lung. The doctors were saying he might not walk again, might not work again, might need care for the rest of his life. I left my closing. I drove straight to the hospital. I sat with Melissa for 9 hours while Todd was in surgery. I bought her food she did not eat. I called our parents. I held her while she sobbed into my shoulder. When the surgeon finally came out and said Todd would live but the recovery would be long and complicated, I watched my sister crumble with relief and terror at the same time. The medical bills started arriving 6 weeks later. Todd had insurance through his employer, but the policy had limits. The initial hospital stay alone was $1,200,000. Insurance covered $800,000. That left $400,000 in patient responsibility. Then came rehab, inpatient physical therapy at a specialized facility, $73,000 for 3 months. Insurance covered $40,000, then home modifications, wheelchair ramp, accessible bathroom, wider doorways, $31,000. Insurance covered nothing. By September, 6 months after the accident, Melissa and Todd were drowning in medical debt, $420,000. The hospital had set them up with a payment plan, but the monthly amount was $6,300. Todd was on disability. He was bringing in $2,200 a month. Melissa worked part-time as a dental hygienist. She made about $3,800 a month. Their mortgage was $2,900. They had a car payment, utilities, food. They were $12,000 behind on medical payments within 2 months. My mother called me in November, Sunday afternoon. I was reviewing contracts for a property acquisition. A small office building in Ballard, $1.9 million. My offer had been accepted. I was days away from owning my 4th property. Mom did not ask how I was. She launched directly into it. Jennifer, we need to talk about Melissa and Todd. They are in serious financial trouble. The medical bills are burying them. Your father and I have given them everything we can. We took out a home equity line of credit, $50,000. It is gone. We have nothing left to give. You need to help. I set my pen down. I need to help. That is correct. You are her sister. Family helps family. We think you should cover the remaining medical bills. I started laughing. I could not help it. $420,000. You think I have $420,000. You have that rental property, the one in Fremont. You have been bragging about it for years. I have never bragged about anything to you. You could take out a loan against it or sell it. Use the money to help your sister. She would do the same for you. Would she? My mother's voice went cold. I did not raise you to be selfish, Jennifer. Your sister is suffering. Her husband may never work again. They could lose their house. You have options. You have assets. It is time to step up. I told her I would think about it. I hung up. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at the contracts in front of me. $420,000. The amount my family thought I should just produce out of nowhere because Melissa needed it. The same family that gave her a car and gave me $50. The same family that loaned her $70,000 for a house and told me real adults do not ask for help. I called my attorney that night, Catherine Stone. I had worked with her on property acquisitions for years. She also handled estate planning and family law. I told her what my mother had asked. Catherine was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, do not do anything yet. Let me look into a few things. If they are pressuring you for money, I want to make sure you are protected. I did not know it then, but that phone call saved me. Thanksgiving dinner was 11 days later. My parents hosted at their house in Kirkland. The house they had owned for 32 years, paid off, worth about $750,000. Melissa and Todd came. Todd was in a wheelchair. He looked exhausted. Melissa looked worse. My mother had decided this dinner would be the perfect time to discuss my contribution to the family crisis. We were halfway through the meal when my father cleared his throat. Jennifer, your mother and I have been talking. We know you have been thinking about how to help Melissa and Todd. We want to make this easier for you. We think you should transfer ownership of the Fremont property to Melissa. She can sell it and use the proceeds to pay off the medical debt. It is the right thing to do. I put my fork down slowly. Transfer ownership. Just give her my property. It is not a gift. It is family support. You bought that property years ago. It has appreciated significantly. You have already benefited from it. Now it is time to let it benefit someone who truly needs it. Melissa was staring at her plate. Todd was looking at me with this expression of desperate hope. My mother was nodding like my father had just suggested something reasonable and expected. I kept my voice level. That property is worth approximately $680,000. I have $215,000 left on the mortgage. If I sold it today, I would clear around $430,000 after fees and closing costs. You want me to hand over $400,000 of my equity? Exactly. It would cover the medical bills and give them a small cushion. You would still have your condo. You would be fine. And what have you given? My father's face hardened. We gave $50,000. We took out a loan against our house. We have been buying their groceries for months. We are doing everything we can. You have more resources than we do. That was a lie. My parents had retirement accounts worth at least $900,000. I had seen the statements years ago when my father asked me to help him organize his files. They had savings. They had options. They just did not want to use them. I have more resources. Based on what? Based on the fact that you own rental property. Based on the fact that you are unmarried with no children. You do not have the same expenses Melissa has. You can afford this. I turned to Melissa. She still was not looking at me. Melissa, do you agree with this? She whispered. I do not want to take anything from you, Jen, but I do not know what else to do. We are drowning. The hospital is threatening to sue us. If they get a judgment, they can garnish Todd's disability payments. We could lose the house. I do not have any other options. You have the option of bankruptcy. My mother slammed her hand on the table. We are not that kind of family. We do not declare bankruptcy. We handle our obligations. You are going to help your sister Jennifer. This is not a request. Then what is it? It is your responsibility. As a daughter, as a sister, as a member of this family, I stood up. I am leaving. My father stood too. You are not leaving until we settle this. Sit down. I am 38 years old. You do not get to tell me to sit down. If you walk out that door without committing to help Melissa, you are telling us that you care more about money than family. Is that who you are? I looked at each of them. My father, red-faced and furious. My mother, self-righteous and cold. Melissa, crying into her napkin. Todd, still hopeful that I would save them. I picked up my purse. I will let you know my decision. I left. I sat in my car in their driveway for 10 minutes shaking. Not from fear. From rage. They had ambushed me, planned this whole performance. Backed me into a corner at a family dinner and demanded I give them $500,000 of my assets because family helps family, because I had resources, because I was unmarried with no children and therefore my money was somehow less mine. I called Catherine from the car. It was 8:30 on Thanksgiving night. She answered on the second ring. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, do not commit to anything. Do not sign anything. Do not transfer anything. I am going to do some research. Can you come to my office on Monday? I was there at 9 in the morning. Catherine had her paralegal with her, a woman named Diane Murphy who specialized in asset protection. They had spent the weekend pulling records. What they showed me made my blood pressure spike. My parents had not given Melissa $50,000. They had given her $87,000 over the past 6 months. Cash transfers, payments directly to the hospital, grocery bills, car insurance. They had been funding Melissa's entire life while telling me they were broke and demanding I contribute, but it got worse. My father had taken out a home equity line of credit for $120,000, not 50, 120. He had used $33,000 to pay off his own car loan and some credit card debt. The rest had gone to Melissa. He had lied about the amount and lied about where it went. Catherine slid another document across the desk. This is a quitclaim deed template. Your father sent this to paralegal service last week. He was planning to have you sign over the Fremont property to Melissa. He already had the deed prepared. He was just waiting for you to agree. He was that confident I would fold. He was that confident he could pressure you into it. Jennifer, this is financial elder abuse in reverse. They are trying to coerce you into giving up a substantial asset under false pretenses. If you had signed that deed, you would have had no legal recourse. The transfer would have been considered a gift. What do? You protect yourself. We put your assets into a structure they cannot touch. I recommend creating a limited liability company. You transfer ownership of all your properties into the LLC. You become the managing member. If your parents try to pressure you further or threaten legal action, they will be suing an LLC, not you personally. It creates a liability shield. How long does that take? I can have it filed by Friday. Do it. We spent the next 4 hours going through every asset I owned, the condo, the duplex, the commercial property in Sodu, the office building I was about to close on in Ballard, my brokerage accounts, my retirement accounts. Everything went into the LLC. Catherine filed the paperwork on Wednesday. By Friday afternoon, I no longer personally owned any real estate. Callahan Property Holdings LLC did. I was just the managing member. My mother called me that Sunday, 1 week after Thanksgiving. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message. Jennifer, your father and I need an answer. Melissa's situation is getting worse. The hospital is threatening legal action. We need you to commit to the property transfer by the end of the month. Call me back. I did not call back. My father called on Tuesday. I answered this time. I was in my car, parked outside a property showing. Dad, I am working. What do you need? You know what I need. Your mother has been trying to reach you. We need an answer about the Fremont property. Melissa cannot wait any longer. I have thought about it. The answer is no. Silence. Then what did you just say? I said no. I am not transferring the property. I am not taking out a loan against it. I am not selling it. The answer is no. Jennifer, do not be stupid. This is your sister's life. Her future, Todd's future. You have the ability to fix this and you are choosing not to. I have the ability to bankrupt myself to fix a problem that is not mine. That is not the same thing, not yours. She's your sister and you are my parents. You have given her $87,000 while telling me you are broke. You took out a $120,000 home equity line and used $33,000 of it to pay off your own debts. You lied to me about how much you have given her and how much you have left. So do not talk to me about family obligation. More silence. How do you know those numbers? I am a commercial real estate broker. I know how to pull financial records. You lied, both of you. You have been funding Melissa's entire life while demanding I give up $500,000 in equity. I am done. If you do not help your sister, we will take legal action. We will force the sale of that property. On what grounds? On the grounds that you are financially capable of helping a family member in crisis and refusing to do so. We will sue you for elder financial support. We will argue that you have a moral and legal obligation. I started laughing again. Sue me. Go ahead. I will see you in court. I hung up. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline. I had just told my father to sue me. I had called his bluff. I knew he had no legal standing. There is no law that says an adult child must give money to a sibling, but I also knew he was angry enough to try anyway. Catherine called me 2 hours later. Your father just contacted a litigation attorney, Jonathan Voss. He specializes in family financial disputes. I know him. He's aggressive but not stupid. He will review the case and tell your father he has no standing, but it is going to get uglier before it gets better. How much uglier? They are going to try to isolate you. Turn the extended family against you. Make you the villain. Classic financial abuse tactic. They will paint themselves as loving parents trying to save one daughter while the other daughter hoards her wealth. Be prepared, she was right. By the end of that week, I started getting calls. My Aunt Linda, my Uncle Robert, 2 of my cousins, all with the same script. How could you let Melissa suffer? She's your sister. Family is supposed to help each other. You have so much and she has nothing. My mother had been working the phone tree. I stopped answering calls from family. I blocked my parents' numbers. I focused on work. I closed on the Ballard office building in early December. $1.9 million, my 4th property. The commercial portfolio alone was now worth almost $3 million. I was generating over $78,000 a year in passive rental income. I was financially untouchable. Christmas came and went. I spent it alone in my condo with Chinese takeout and a bottle of wine. I did not miss my family. I missed the idea of family. The version that existed in other people's lives where parents treated their children equally and siblings did not compete for scraps of approval. On January 14th, my attorney called. I need you to come in. Now, I was there in 30 minutes. Catherine looked grim. Your father filed a lawsuit, not against you, against the Fremont property. He is claiming that you verbally agreed to transfer the property to Melissa back in November and that you are now reneging on a binding oral contract. He is asking the court to enforce specific performance and force the transfer. Can he do that? He can file anything he wants. Will he win? No. Oral contracts for real estate transfers are not enforceable in Washington state. Real property transfers must be in writing, statute of frauds, but he can drag you through litigation, cost you time and legal fees, make your life miserable for 6 to 8 months. What do? We respond. We file a motion to dismiss based on statute of frauds. We also file a counterclaim for abuse of process and malicious prosecution. We go on offense. Do it. The motion to dismiss was filed on January 21st. My father's attorney responded with an amended complaint. This time he claimed I had signed a written agreement, a napkin from Thanksgiving dinner with a handwritten note that said I agree to help Melissa. My signature allegedly below it. I stared at the filing. I never signed anything, I know, but they are going to claim you did. They are going to produce a napkin with your signature. It will be fake, but they are betting you cannot prove it is fake. Can we? Yes, handwriting analysis, forensic document examination. We will prove it is a forgery, but it is going to cost money and time. How much money? $15,000 to $20,000 for a full forensic analysis and expert testimony. I wrote Catherine a check that afternoon, $20,000, retainer for litigation defense and expert witnesses. I was not going to let my father steal my property with a forged napkin. The forensic analyst took 3 weeks. Her report came back on February 18th. The signature on the napkin was not mine. It was a tracing of my signature from another document, probably a birthday card or thank you note. The pressure patterns were wrong. The pen strokes were inconsistent. It was a crude forgery. Catherine filed the report with the court on February 23rd. She also filed a motion for sanctions against my father and his attorney for submitting fraudulent evidence. The hearing was scheduled for March 30th, but before that hearing could happen, something else broke. Melissa called me on March 2nd. I almost did not answer. I had not spoken to her since Thanksgiving, but something made me pick up. Jen, please do not hang up. I need to tell you something. I am listening. Mom and Dad lied about all of it. I just found out. Todd and I were going through our bank statements because we are trying to file for bankruptcy. The medical bills are too much. We cannot keep fighting this, and I saw deposits I did not recognize. $43,000 over the last 8 months from Mom and Dad. I asked them about it. They said it was help, family support, but Jen, I added it up. With the $50,000 they told you about, they have given us $130,000. They told you 50. They have been lying to both of us. Why are you telling me this? Because they told me about the lawsuit. They said you agreed to give me your rental property and then changed your mind. They said you signed an agreement and backed out. I believed them. I was angry at you, but then I saw that napkin, the one Dad is using as evidence. Jen, I watched him write that 2 weeks ago in their kitchen. He traced your signature from a Mother's Day card. I saw him do it. I sat down. My legs stopped working. You saw him forge my signature. Yes. And you are just telling me now. I did not think it mattered. I thought you really had agreed and just changed your mind. I thought the napkin was just proof of something you already admitted to. But then I talked to Todd. He told me that is fraud, that is illegal, and I realized Mom and Dad are not trying to help me. They are trying to control you, and they are using me to do it. Why are they doing this? I do not know, but Jen, you need to protect yourself. I'm going to file for bankruptcy next week. Todd and I talked about it. We are done fighting. The medical bills are never going away. We are going to discharge them and start over. You do not need to give me anything. You never did. Does Mom know you are calling me? No, and do not tell her. She will lose her mind. But I had to tell you, what they're doing is wrong. She hung up. I sat in my living room staring at my phone. My sister had just handed me the evidence I needed to destroy my father's lawsuit. She had witnessed him commit forgery. She could testify this was over. I called Catherine. I told her everything. She was quiet for a long moment, then she said, this changes everything. If Melissa is willing to testify, your father's case collapses. He could face criminal charges for fraud and forgery. His attorney could be sanctioned or disbarred for knowingly submitting false evidence. Do you think Melissa will actually testify? Yes, I think she is done protecting them. Then we need to file an emergency motion. We need to get this in front of the judge before the March 30th hearing. If we wait, your father might try to intimidate Melissa or convince her to recant. How fast can you move? I can have a motion filed by tomorrow morning. Do it. Catherine filed an emergency motion to compel testimony and produce evidence on March 3rd. She attached a sworn affidavit from Melissa describing what she witnessed. My father forging my signature, the date, the location, the Mother's Day card he used as a template. She also included Melissa's bank statements showing the $130,000 in deposits from my parents, evidence of their lies. The judge scheduled an emergency hearing for March 9th, exactly 2 years to the day after Todd's accident. My father, his attorney, Catherine, Melissa, and I all appeared in court. My mother was not there. She had not been named in the lawsuit. The judge read Melissa's affidavit. Then she looked at my father. Mr. Callahan, did you forge your daughter's signature on this napkin? My father's attorney jumped in. Your Honor, my client exercises his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. The judge turned to Jonathan Voss, my father's attorney. Mr. Voss, did you know this signature was forged when you submitted it as evidence? Your Honor, I relied on my client's representation that the document was authentic. I had no independent knowledge of its creation. Did you conduct any verification? I trusted my client. The judge was not amused. You submitted a handwritten note on a napkin as evidence of a binding real estate contract and you did not verify its authenticity. That is inadequate due diligence, Mr. Voss. Motion to dismiss granted. Case dismissed with prejudice. Mr. Callahan, you are fortunate I am not referring this to the prosecutor for criminal charges. You forged a legal document and submitted it in a court proceeding. That is fraud. I am sanctioning you $15,000 payable to your daughter for her legal fees. Mr. Voss, you are sanctioned $5,000 payable to the Washington State Bar Association. This hearing is adjourned. My father stood there frozen. His attorney looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Melissa was crying. I felt nothing, just cold, clear vindication. We walked out of the courthouse into gray Seattle drizzle. Melissa hugged me on the steps. I am so sorry, Jen. I should have seen this sooner. I should have stopped them. You did stop them. You told the truth. That is more than they ever did. She wiped her eyes. Todd and I are filing for bankruptcy next week. We are going to start over. Without their help, without their money, we are done being controlled. Good. Are you going to forgive them? I do not know. Maybe someday, but not today. She nodded. She understood. She walked to her car. I watched her drive away. Catherine was waiting by her car. Congratulations. You won. I do not feel like I won. You protected your assets. You exposed their lies. You forced them to face consequences. That is a win. What happens now? Now you go live your life. You keep building your empire. You let them live with what they did. I went home. I sat in my condo and looked at the city lights. 4 properties, $3.2 million in real estate equity, $78,000 a year in passive income, a career I was proud of, a life I built alone. My parents never apologized. My mother called once 3 weeks after the hearing. She said I had humiliated my father, destroyed his reputation, made him a laughingstock. She said I should be ashamed. I told her I was ashamed. Ashamed it took me 38 years to stop letting them treat me like I was worthless. Then I hung up. I have not spoken to them since. But that is not the end of the story, because 4 months after the hearing, something else happened, something I did not see coming. Something that made me realize my parents were not done trying to take what was mine. And this time they were not coming for my property. They were coming for everything. I did not see it coming because I had stopped watching. I thought the war was over. I thought the court dismissal and the sanctions had ended it. I was wrong. On July 19th, I received a certified letter at my office, not my home address, my office. Someone had gone out of their way to make this public. The return address was a law firm I did not recognize. Patterson and Lowe, attorneys at law, Tacoma. I opened it at my desk. My assistant Hannah was standing there waiting for me to sign some closing documents. I read the first paragraph and felt my stomach drop. Notice of intent to file conservatorship petition. My parents were seeking legal conservatorship over me. They were claiming I was mentally incompetent to manage my own affairs. The letter cited erratic financial behavior, refusal to help family members in crisis, and severing ties with my support system as evidence of diminished capacity. They were asking a judge to grant them control over my finances, my property, and my medical decisions. Hannah saw my face. Are you okay? I need to call my attorney. Catherine answered on the first ring. I read her the letter. She was silent for a long time. Then she said something I will never forget. Jennifer, this is psychological warfare. They cannot win this. But they can make you spend 6 months proving you are sane. They can subpoena your medical records, your therapy notes if you have any, your financial records. They can force you into a competency evaluation. They are trying to break you by process. Can they actually get conservatorship? Not a chance. You are a successful commercial real estate broker with a multi-million-dollar property portfolio. You have no history of mental illness, no criminal record, no substance abuse. But they can drag you through hell trying, and that is the point. What do? We fight, and we make it so expensive and so humiliating for them that they never try this again. The petition was filed on August 2nd. My parents had submitted a 12-page document claiming I had exhibited signs of paranoid delusions, financial hoarding, and antisocial behavior. They cited my refusal to help Melissa as evidence I had lost empathy and emotional regulation. They included statements from family members. My Aunt Linda claimed I had become withdrawn and hostile. My Uncle Robert said I had accused my parents of lying without evidence. My cousin Sarah said I had stopped attending family events and refused to return calls. Everything they said was true. I had withdrawn. I had accused them of lying. I had stopped attending family events, but those were not symptoms of mental illness. Those were symptoms of self-preservation. The hearing was scheduled for September 27th. I had 8 weeks to prepare. Catherine filed a response on August 9th, a 20-page rebuttal with exhibits. my tax returns showing 7 consecutive years of increasing income, letters of recommendation from clients, my real estate license in good standing, bank statements showing organized strategic financial management, a letter from my physician stating I had no cognitive impairments or mental health diagnoses. But Catherine also did something else. She hired a private investigator. A woman named Rebecca Torres who specialized in elder fraud and family financial abuse. I met with Rebecca on August 14th in Catherine's office. Rebecca was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, no-nonsense expression. She slid a folder across the table. I have been looking into your parents' finances. I found some things you need to see. I opened the folder. The first document was a credit report, my father's credit report. He had $17,000 in credit card debt spread across 4 cards, all opened in the last 9 months. The second document was a bank statement, my mother's personal checking account, negative $2,300, overdraft fees stacking up like kindling. They are broke, worse than broke. Your father took out that home equity line for $120,000. He has made 3 payments. He is already 2 months behind. The bank sent a notice of default last week. If he misses another payment, they start foreclosure proceedings. Why are they doing this? Rebecca pulled out another document because they think if they get conservatorship, they get control of your assets. They can force you to pay off their debts. They can liquidate your properties to cover their mortgage. This is not about Melissa anymore. This is about survival. They are drowning and they see you as the life raft. I felt cold. How much do they owe total? Between the home equity line, credit cards, and back payments on their own mortgage, about $168,000. They are 6 months away from bankruptcy, and they know it. Catherine leaned forward. This is good for us. We can show motive. We can prove this conservatorship petition is not about your well-being. It is about their financial desperation. But Jennifer, you need to be prepared. They are going to come at you hard. They are going to say terrible things about you in open court. They are going to try to paint you as cold, selfish, mentally unstable. Can you handle that? I have been handling it my whole life. This is just the first time there will be a judge watching. Over the next 6 weeks, I gave Catherine everything. My medical records going back 10 years, clean bill of health, my employment records, 14 years of consistent performance reviews, promotions, awards, my financial records, every property acquisition documented and explained. My daily calendar showing client meetings, property showings, closings. I was building a fortress of competence, but my parents were building something too. On September 10th, they submitted supplemental evidence. Affidavits from 4 family members claiming I had changed, become paranoid, accused people of conspiracies, isolated myself, stopped caring about family. They made me sound unhinged. The affidavit from my mother was the worst. She claimed I had once told her I trusted no one and that everyone was trying to take advantage of me. She said I had become obsessed with protecting my assets to the point of delusion. She said I needed help and that as my mother, she had a duty to intervene. I read it in Catherine's office. I did not cry. I just felt tired. Catherine was watching me. Did you ever say you trust no one? Yes. After I found out they had been lying about how much money they gave Melissa. After I found out my father forged my signature, I said I did not trust them anymore. She took that and turned it into paranoia. That is what abusers do. They take your reasonable reactions to their abuse and call it mental illness. Rebecca came back on September 18th with more findings. My parents had consulted with 3 different attorneys before finding one willing to take the conservatorship case. 2 had refused outright, calling the petition frivolous. The third, Martin Patterson, had a history of aggressive elder law cases. He had been sanctioned twice by the bar for overzealous representation. He was exactly the kind of attorney you hire when you do not care about ethics, only outcomes. Catherine filed a motion to dismiss based on lack of evidence. The motion included Rebecca's findings about my parents' financial situation, the credit reports, the default notices. We argued that the conservatorship petition was filed in bad faith as a mechanism to access my assets and pay their debts. The hearing was held on September 27th in King County Superior Court. Judge Margaret Chen presiding. I wore a navy suit, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. I looked like exactly what I was, a competent professional woman. My parents sat on the opposite side of the courtroom with their attorney Martin Patterson. My mother wore a floral dress and pearls. My father wore a gray suit that looked like it had not fit him properly in 5 years. They looked like concerned parents. I had to give them credit. They committed to the performance. Judge Chen called the case. Patterson stood. Your Honor, we are here today because my clients are deeply concerned about their daughter's mental state and her ability to manage her own affairs. Over the past year, Ms. Callahan has exhibited increasingly erratic behavior. She has severed ties with her family without cause. She has made baseless accusations against her parents. She has refused to provide reasonable financial assistance to her sister during a medical crisis. These are not the actions of a rational person. Catherine stood. Your Honor, Ms. Callahan is a highly successful commercial real estate broker with 14 years of professional experience, a spotless record, and a multi-million-dollar property portfolio that she has built and managed entirely on her own. The petitioners have provided no medical evidence, no expert testimony, and no credible basis for claiming incompetence. What they have provided is their own financial desperation and a transparent attempt to gain control of assets they have no legal right to. Judge Chen looked at Patterson. Do you have any medical evidence of incompetence? Psychological evaluations, cognitive assessments? Patterson shifted. We have affidavits from family members describing concerning behavior. Affidavits are not medical evidence. Do you have an expert witness? We believe the family testimony would be sufficient to warrant further evaluation. You believed wrong. Ms. Stone, do you have evidence to present? Catherine stood again. We do, Your Honor. We have submitted Ms. Callahan's complete medical records showing no history of mental illness or cognitive impairment. We have employment records showing consistent high performance. We have financial records showing sophisticated asset management. We also have evidence that the petitioners filed this action in bad faith. She handed a stack of documents to the bailiff who passed them to the judge. Judge Chen read through them slowly. Credit reports, bank statements, default notices. Her expression did not change, but I saw her eyebrows lift slightly. Your Honor, the petitioners are facing foreclosure on their home. They owe over $160,000 in various debts. They have defaulted on loan payments. This conservatorship petition was filed 6 weeks after my client won a lawsuit against her father for attempted fraud. The timing is not coincidental. This is retaliation and financial desperation masquerading as concern. Judge Chen looked at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Callahan, are these financial documents accurate? My father started to stand. Patterson put a hand on his arm. Your Honor, our financial situation is not relevant to our daughter's mental competence. Actually, it is extremely relevant. It speaks to motive. Ms. Stone, does your client wish to testify? She does, Your Honor. I stood. I walked to the witness stand. I was sworn in. I sat down. I looked directly at Judge Chen. I did not look at my parents. Catherine approached. Ms. Callahan, how long have you worked as a commercial real estate broker? 14 years. What is your current annual income from your brokerage work? Last year I earned $237,000 in commissions. And you also own rental properties. I own 4 properties through an LLC, 3 residential rentals and 1 commercial property. They generate approximately $78,000 annually in passive income. So your total annual income is over $300,000. Correct. Do you have any history of mental illness? No. Have you ever been hospitalized for psychiatric reasons? No. Have you ever been diagnosed with any cognitive impairments? No. Why did you refuse to help your sister with her medical bills? Because my parents lied about how much they had already given her. They told me they had given her $50,000 and had nothing left. In reality, they had given her over $130,000. They demanded I transfer a property worth over $600,000 to cover debts that could have been discharged in bankruptcy. When I refused, my father forged my signature on a legal document and sued me. A judge dismissed the case and sanctioned him $15,000 for fraud. And now they are claiming you are mentally incompetent. Correct. Do you believe you are mentally incompetent? No. I believe I am a woman who set boundaries with financially abusive parents and they are retaliating. Patterson stood. Objection. Inflammatory characterization. Judge Chen looked at him. Overruled. The witness is answering the question. Continue, Ms. Stone. Catherine nodded. Ms. Callahan, have you isolated yourself from family? I have distanced myself from people who lied to me, forged legal documents, and sued me. I still maintain relationships with friends and professional colleagues. I am not isolated. I am selective. Thank you. No further questions. Patterson stood for cross-examination. He walked toward me slowly, hands clasped behind his back. Ms. Callahan, is it true that you refused to attend Christmas dinner last year? Yes. And you refused to attend Easter? Yes. And you have not spoken to your parents in over 5 months? Correct. Does that sound like healthy family behavior to you? It sounds like self-preservation. You accused your parents of lying without proof. I had bank statements. I had transfer records. I had proof. You claim your father forged your signature. A forensic document examiner confirmed it. The court agreed. He was sanctioned. Patterson's jaw tightened. You have over $3 million in assets and you allowed your sister to drown in medical debt. Does that seem rational? My sister's husband was in a car accident. That is tragic. It is not my financial responsibility. She had the option of bankruptcy. My parents had retirement accounts they could have used. They chose not to. They chose to demand I liquidate my assets instead. I said no. That is not irrational. That is a boundary. You sound very cold. I sound very clear. Patterson turned to the judge. Your Honor, I think the witness's affect demonstrates exactly what we are concerned about, a complete lack of empathy, an obsessive focus on money and assets, an inability to maintain family relationships. These are signs of serious emotional disturbance. Judge Chen looked at me. Ms. Callahan, do you love your parents? I paused. I used to. Now I do not know. Love should not come with fraud and lawsuits attached. Do you think you need help managing your affairs? No, Your Honor. I think my parents need to stop trying to manage my affairs. Judge Chen nodded. You may step down. I walked back to the table. Catherine squeezed my hand under the table. My parents were whispering furiously to Patterson. Judge Chen looked at the court. I have reviewed all submitted evidence. I have heard testimony. I am ready to rule. This conservatorship petition is denied. Ms. Callahan has demonstrated full mental competence. She has no history of mental illness, no cognitive impairments, and clear, rational explanations for her decisions. The petitioners have provided no credible evidence to the contrary. What they have provided is a transparent attempt to gain control of assets in order to satisfy their own debts. This is an abuse of the conservatorship process. Mr. and Mrs. Callahan, you are hereby ordered to pay Ms. Callahan's legal fees in the amount of $22,000. Mr. Patterson, I am referring this matter to the Bar Association for review. Filing a conservatorship petition without medical foundation borders on frivolous litigation. This case is dismissed. We are adjourned. The gavel came down. My mother made a sound like a wounded animal. My father sat frozen. Patterson was already gathering his files, face red. I stood. Catherine smiled. Let's go. We walked out of the courthouse. It was raining. Seattle autumn rain, cold and steady. I stood on the steps and let it hit my face. You won, I know. How do you feel? Tired. That is normal. You just fought off a legal attack designed to declare you insane. You are allowed to be tired. I went home. I sat in my condo and stared at the city. 4 properties, $3.2 million in equity, over $300,000 in annual income, and parents who tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so they could steal it all. I did not cry. I just felt empty, but 3 days later, something shifted. I got a call from Rebecca Torres. She sounded excited. Jennifer, I kept digging. I found something. What? Your parents took out a second mortgage on their house, not the home equity line, a full second mortgage, $195,000. It was funded in June, 2 months before they filed the conservatorship petition. Where did the money go? That is the interesting part. $70,000 went to Melissa. The hospital had started garnishment proceedings. Your parents paid off a chunk of her debt to stop it. $45,000 went to credit card companies, and $80,000 is just gone, withdrawn in cash over 6 weeks. I cannot trace it. $80,000 in cash, yes, someone was getting paid. I do not know who or why, but that is a lot of cash to move without a paper trail. Can you find out? I am trying, but Jennifer, there is more. The second mortgage has a balloon payment due in 18 months. Your parents borrowed $195,000 and they owe the full amount in February of next year, 18 months from the funding date. If they do not pay, the bank forecloses. They are betting everything on getting control of your assets before that balloon payment comes due. They were that confident they would win. They were that desperate. Desperate people make bad bets. I hung up and called Catherine. I told her what Rebecca found. She was quiet. Then she said, we need to prepare. They are going to come at you again, not with conservatorship. They failed there, but they will find another angle. People this desperate do not stop. They escalate. What do? You keep documenting. You keep every email, every text, every voicemail. You do not engage. You do not respond. You let them make mistakes. I followed her advice. October passed. November. I heard nothing from my parents. No calls, no letters, nothing. Then on December 3rd, Melissa called. Almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Jen, we need to talk. I am listening. Mom and Dad are planning something. I do not know what, but Todd overheard them on the phone with someone last week. They were talking about your properties, about forcing a sale, about claiming you owe them money for raising you, elder support laws or something. I do not know the details, but Jen, they're not done. Why are you telling me? Because this has to stop. Todd and I filed for bankruptcy 2 months ago. We are done with the medical debt. We are starting over. We do not need their help anymore, and we do not want it. But they are still fixated on you, on your money. It is sick. I wanted you to know. Do they know you are calling me? God, no, they would lose it. But Jen, be careful, please. She hung up. I called Catherine. Elder support laws. Can they sue me for that? Washington does not have filial responsibility laws. Adult children are not legally obligated to support their parents. A few states have those laws, but Washington is not one of them. They cannot force you to pay them. Then what are they planning? I do not know, but let's be ready. On December 18th, I got my answer. Another certified letter, another law firm, this time out of Spokane, notice of intent to file civil suit for unjust enrichment. My parents were claiming that they had provided substantial financial support to me throughout my life and that my current wealth was built on their foundation. They were seeking reimbursement for college expenses, living expenses during my 20s, and opportunity costs they incurred by supporting me. They were claiming I owed them $473,000. I read the letter twice. Then I started laughing. I could not stop. $473,000 for raising me. They had itemized it. 18 years of food, housing, and clothing. 4 years of college tuition. Help with my first car. Every birthday gift. Every Christmas present. They had assigned dollar values to everything and they wanted it back. Catherine called me that night. This is insane. I know. It is also not legally viable. Parents cannot sue their adult children for reimbursement of child-rearing costs. That is not how family law works. This will get dismissed immediately. So why are they doing it? Because they are desperate and they have nothing left to lose. Their house is in foreclosure. They have maxed out credit cards. The balloon payment is coming due in 2 months. They are throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. What do? We file a motion to dismiss. We also file for a restraining order. This is harassment. You have been sued twice in 1 year by your own parents. Both cases were frivolous. We get a judge to order them to stop. Do it. The motion to dismiss was filed on December 22nd. The restraining order petition was filed the same day. The hearing was scheduled for January 16th. 3 weeks away, I spent Christmas alone again, Chinese food and wine, but this time I did not feel sad. I felt determined. My parents had declared war and I was going to end it. On January 9th, 1 week before the hearing, Rebecca called. I found where the $80,000 went. Where? Martin Patterson. Your parents paid him $80,000 cash over 6 weeks last summer. He was the attorney who filed the conservatorship petition. That was his fee. Paid in cash to avoid a paper trail. $80,000 for a conservatorship case. That is insane. A standard conservatorship petition should cost $10,000 to $15,000, but your parents were desperate and Patterson knew it. He charged them a premium because the case was weak and he knew he might get sanctioned, which he did. Can we use this? Absolutely. It shows a pattern. Your parents paid a lawyer $80,000 in cash to file a frivolous petition. Now they are filing another frivolous suit. We can argue vexatious litigation. We can get them declared vexatious litigants. If that happens, they cannot sue you again without court permission. Do it. Catherine amended our motion. She included evidence of the cash payments to Patterson. She included the history of the forged signature lawsuit, the conservatorship petition, and now the unjust enrichment claim. She argued that my parents were engaging in a pattern of abusive litigation designed to harass me into giving them money. She asked the court to declare them vexatious litigants and to impose a civil restraining order preventing further legal action. The hearing was held on January 16th in King County Superior Court, same courthouse, different judge, Judge Richard Alvarez presiding. My parents showed up with a new attorney, a young man who looked fresh out of law school. He introduced himself as Kevin Marsh. He looked terrified. Judge Alvarez called the case. Mr. Marsh, I have reviewed the petition for unjust enrichment. Do you have case law supporting the claim that parents can sue adult children for reimbursement of child-rearing expenses? Mr. Marsh shuffled papers. Your Honor, we believe there is a basis in equity. My clients made significant sacrifices to raise their daughter and she has benefited substantially. It is only fair that she compensate them. That is not a legal argument. That is a moral argument. Do you have case law? We are still researching precedents. So no, we believe the court has discretion. Judge Alvarez looked at Catherine. Ms. Stone, Your Honor, this is the third frivolous lawsuit my client has faced from her parents in 14 months. The first was dismissed with sanctions. The second was denied with fee awards. This third case has no legal foundation whatsoever. We are asking the court to declare the petitioners vexatious litigants and to bar them from filing further actions without prior court approval. Catherine handed documents to the bailiff. Judge Alvarez read through them. The forged signature, the conservatorship denial, the unjust enrichment claim, the cash payments to Martin Patterson, the foreclosure notices, the defaulted loans. He looked at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Callahan, why are you doing this? My father stood. Your Honor, our daughter has abandoned us. She has money and we have nothing. We raised her. We deserve support. You deserve support from the daughter you sued for fraud, the daughter you tried to declare incompetent. She owes us. She owes you nothing. You are not entitled to her assets because you raised her. That is called being a parent. It is not a loan. My mother stood. She has millions and we are losing our house. She does not care. She is heartless. Judge Alvarez looked at her for a long moment. Ma'am, do you know why you are losing your house? Because we do not have money. No. You are losing your house because you took out a $120,000 home equity line and a $195,000 second mortgage and spent the money on your other daughter and on frivolous lawsuits. You made financial decisions. Those decisions have consequences. Your daughter is not required to bail you out. He turned to Mr. Marsh. Motion to dismiss granted. The unjust enrichment claim is dismissed with prejudice. Mr. and Mrs. Callahan are hereby declared vexatious litigants. They are barred from filing any further civil actions against Jennifer Callahan without prior court approval. Any such approval will require a showing of probable cause and a bond of no less than $50,000. Ms. Callahan is awarded attorney's fees in the amount of $18,000. Additionally, I am issuing a civil restraining order. Mr. and Mrs. Callahan are prohibited from contacting Ms. Callahan directly or indirectly. No phone calls, no letters, no third-party intermediaries. Violation of this order will result in contempt charges. This hearing is adjourned. The gavel came down. My mother started crying, loud theatrical sobs. My father just sat there staring at the table. Mr. Marsh looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. I stood. Catherine gathered her files. We walked out. On the courthouse steps, Catherine turned to me. It is over. They cannot touch you anymore. What happens to them? Their house will be foreclosed, probably within 60 days. They will have to file for bankruptcy or find somewhere to live. That is not your problem. I know. Do you feel guilty? No. I feel free. I went back to work. I closed a 12,000 square foot retail conversion in February. Commissioned $96,000. I bought another property in March. A mixed-use building in Fremont, 2 commercial units on the ground floor, 4 apartments above, 1.4 million. My fifth property. My parents' house was foreclosed on March 28th. I know because Rebecca sent me the public record. The bank took possession. My parents had 30 days to vacate. I do not know where they went. Melissa called once to tell me they moved in with my Aunt Linda in Everett. I said okay and hung up. I have not spoken to my parents in over a year now. I do not miss them. I miss the idea of what parents should be, but I do not miss who they actually are. Melissa and I talk occasionally, once every few months, surface level stuff. She tells me about Todd's recovery. He is walking again, part-time. He got a job doing remote customer service. They are rebuilding. I am glad for her. We will never be close, but we are not enemies. The restraining order is still in effect. My parents have not tried to contact me. I assume they learned their lesson, or they finally ran out of money to hire attorneys. I sold the Fremont duplex in June for $890,000. I cleared $512,000 after the mortgage payoff. I used the money to buy 2 smaller rental properties in Tacoma. Better cash flow. My rental income is now over $93,000 a year. My name is Jennifer Callahan. I am 40 years old. I own 6 properties worth over $4.1 million. I make over $350,000 a year. I built all of this myself while my family told me I was not good enough, not smart enough, not worth their time. They tried to take it from me 3 times, 3 lawsuits, 3 failures. I do not live in fear anymore. I do not live in anger. I just live. I wake up in my condo overlooking Elliott Bay. I drink coffee on my balcony. I go to work, I close deals, I manage my properties, I have dinner with friends, I travel. Last month I spent 2 weeks in Portugal. Alone, it was perfect. My parents wanted me to fund their mistakes. They wanted me to sacrifice my security for theirs. They thought because they were my parents, they owned me. They were wrong. If you're setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, stop. You do not owe anyone your peace. You do not owe anyone your assets. You do not owe anyone access to your life just because they share your DNA. I transferred the deed to my lawyer because I knew what was coming. I built the fortress before they laid siege, and when they came for me, I was ready. Your life is yours. Protect it. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you. Comment freedom below if you're done letting people steal your peace. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for being here with me today.